All right, go ahead.
Welcome everybody to our first class on basic case design. So this is going to be a monthly class, just where basically we just go over one of the cases that we helped an agent with this month. We found was either interesting or a good educational piece for you guys, something that you can adapt, or just like really eye opening. And that's part of the case that why I chose this case for this month was because it covers a very common misconception that we see many agents have. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We'll go into that in just a little bit. But yeah, this is a monthly class. We're just going to talk about a case and a little bit about the fact find, then how we built the case, and we're going to show you how we ran the illustrations and stuff like that.
Yep.
So a few basic questions before we move on. I know I'm talking fast. I'm sorry. Uh, yes, this class is being recorded. You see the little recording thing on the top left. It'll be on the Marketing Sales Resource Center. Usually it's first thing tomorrow morning. I try to do it before I leave today, but I don't always get it done, so I always make the promise tomorrow morning. But yeah, and you'll also get an email with that showing you how to access it. So without further ado, Jeremy, if you want to take it from here.
All right. Thanks, Alex. Thanks everyone for showing up today on
Mhm.
time. We're running late today, of course, but this is gonna be a lot of fun today. We're going to do something we haven't done much in the past, and that's really go through every step of how to dissect the fact find, uncovering the problem, uncover the need, and present the solution. And I'm going to teach you how to do each individual aspect of the case. Okay, so these classes, we're going to do one of them a month, and we'll be doing them on all kinds of different products, on different companies, different sales concepts, the whole nine. Okay, today we'll do a simple life case, kind of the first warm up for the first one. This is the older case we're doing because it just had like I said, a great message and great simplicity to it to kind of show you the breakdown of it all. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Coach Jeremy. I'm one of the co-founders of the Insurance Pro Shop. I'm sorry for my appearance today. It's been a long day so far. So I have the hat on, ran out of hairspray, have a T-shirt on, and I apologize. Okay, that's how I normally look on the picture. I look better there than anywhere else. All right. I'm joined by Coach Alex. Alex is our 7-year newest member of our team. He brings in, he is, let me explain, he is a specialist in working with the younger families and millennials. Alex is going to be a featured, his first published article in the IIRFC Register, which will come out in what, June, Alex?
I think it's the August. I think it's
August
August or
edition. Okay.
July or August.
Yeah. So he is the newest published IPS coach. So he's done well, and he's working towards that goal. So, but the reason we do these classes, and you've probably heard this 1,000 times now, if you've watched any of our recorded classes, is our goal is to bring about a positive change in the insurance financial services industry. We want to make you guys the trusted advisors people turn to when they need financial help. Okay, we want to help become the most recognized specialists and the people when our clients are in trouble, our prospects are in trouble, they know who to turn to get the financial help they need. Okay, that's what we want to help you guys do. We want to make you guys the big fish in the small pond. All right. So I did an interview yesterday, and with a large group, basically. It'll be coming out later this week, I believe, with their service. And I was talking to the interviewer. She had, we were talking about Lou and Alex having engineering backgrounds, and a little bit of my background in sales and in before I got in the insurance industry, my thought processes and so forth. And we determined that all three of us have somewhat logical brains. Imagine that that we like to have things put in place. Okay, so her statement was, and this is kind of important what we're talking about today, is they may agree with what we do, and beyond training how-tos, everything you do has a purpose. You're building processes and systems to make every agent successful. And it really hit me at that point that everything we do is a process, right? And as engineers, turn my phone off here. As engineers, have very analytical minds, we compartmentalize everything into smaller steps. And I think that's why a lot of what we teach is more receptive and more adapted to you guys. Hold on, get some again here. you know, what we teach is more receptive by people is because we do teach it in small pieces. So part of what we're going to talk about today is some of those small pieces that you can build upon. You know, and it goes back to a simple saying or simple thought process I've used for years is you have to have a solid foundation. You know, coming from a family or my in-law family that's all carpenters, master carpenters and builders, you know, I've learned a lot about, you know, building houses, you know, creating structures, building, you know, pole barns. I've done it all now with working with them, that you have to have a solid foundation to everything you do. So in the insurance industry, your foundation of what you need to know, there's two different foundations you need to build on. Okay. We'll call it left structure, right structure. Your left structure is all about your communication, how you communicate with your clients, you know, what you're doing for marketing. Those are your building blocks of the right structure. Okay. The left structure is all about building off and for lack of a better term, the product. You know, knowing what the product does, what solution it brings to the table, how it solves the problem. And then you're building upon that to create the need, to create the wants that's going to be able to build on that foundation. Does that make sense? All right. So what we're teaching is how to become successful, right? We're teaching how to put processes in place to make your job as easy as possible, right? Because the easier time you have during certain steps makes you more available for and have more time available for the stuff that takes more time, can be more time consuming. Case design is a very simple process once you have your foundation built. So we want to make sure you have those core basics put in place so you can spend more time on the tasks that are more meaningful to your practice. You know, spending more time on the prospecting, on the networking, on, you know, whatever it is you have to do that's going to bring you more people in. Okay, so whether it's prospecting, I'm jumping ahead, marketing, questioning, case design, these are all processes you need to learn to implement, but the simpler you can make them, the more time you have to implement other things that are going to be greatly more impactful on your practice. Okay, so what we're going to learn today is we're going to talk about what tools you need to be able to do successful case design. We're going to talk about how to break down a fact find and find the problem, how to find the money, which is, to me, is the most critical part of the fact find process, how to use the 2-page template, basic template manipulation. I hate that word manipulation because it sounds so dirty, but what I mean by that is I'm going to help you learn how to make changes in the template to fit the case. Okay, not to manipulate numbers to confuse or to alter someone's mindset. Not that kind of manipulation. It's the manipulation of the actual tool itself. And how to prepare for the close. All right. So how this works, you know, the basic philosophy we build everything on when it comes to case design is people buy based on emotions and then justify the decision based on logic. All right. So knowing that's the philosophy we're building on. That's what the template is designed in that way. So when you look at the 2-page template, you know, the first thing you see are the primary, secondary objectives, assumptions, or needs overview or recommendations. You get those couple of things, right? Those are the emotional facts. That's where the emotion is drawn up. That's where the sale is actually made, is on that page. So if you want to be closing 9 out of 10 sales, you have to become a master at one, asking questions, which we've talked about in the past, but also how to create these presentations that really hit that emotional point home. All right. The logic part is the factual part. It's the numbers behind the scenes. So when you have the emotional point that, hey, if something happens to my spouse, I need to have insurance to replace their income and cover my financial losses. The logic is, you know, here you're paying $20 for term insurance for $10,000 of coverage, and when that goes, what's going to happen? If we can show you a better way that's going to save you money, how much better off are you going to be? Is all that making sense? I know I'm going through really fast. All right. All right. So there's 3 basic tools you need for this. You need a financial calculator or PFS basic software. PFS is personalized financial software. It's personal financial solution. It's a software that I created that goes through the basic calculus, and we'll show you the one we have. If you don't have a copy, email Alex at insuranceproshop.com, or go to the resource center, and they're all available on there. Okay, so having either a calculator on your phone or whatever you want to use for that, that's fine. There's other online softwares like dinkytown.net. There are different Excel templates you can download from if you have the Office 365. There's different things you can get these different softwares. Okay, the one I created I think is the best because it has everything in one piece versus trying to search out all of the other things. Okay, you need to have Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, or Open Office. Microsoft Word is part of the Office 365 membership, and it costs $8.25 a month to have that membership. Okay, if you don't have a membership to it, you need one, call me. I have a resource to get it to you at cost. So you get it for $8.25 versus the $10. Okay, so I'm trying to help everybody out. Or you can get Open Office for free. If you're more tech savvy, Open Office is a Linux based. Is it Linux based, Alex? No, it's open source. Sorry, open source software that mimics Microsoft Office. It's a little bit more difficult to use in some aspects. There are some conversions, but it does the job. Okay. And then the last thing you'll need is illustration software from your carriers. So if you work with American Equity, you're working with Life of the Southwest, National Life, having access to their online software or download softwares, access to WinFlex, or in different IMO-based softwares like Creative One, SPIA Solutions, and different things you can have access to be able to run the actual illustrations for the factual numbers. Okay, so any questions on that first? If you have questions, throw them in the chat box, and Alex and we will answer them as we go. All right. So we're going to jump right into the fact find. That's what we're here for. We're not here to talk about me, talk about all kinds of crap you need to buy and do everything else with. So let's jump right into the thing. Okay. So Jake and Karen. Thanks, Alex, for changing the names on this for me this morning. We were joking as me and Alex talk all day long, even though we're not in the same office right now. So we always talk about Jake from State Farm. It's just one of those things we goof around all the time. And of course, Karen from the memes. If you're not familiar with this, just type in Karen memes. They are hilarious. So he's always changing names of my cases on me and putting these weird names in here just because it's funny. So Jake and Karen. Jake is 42 years old and wants to retire at 67. Karen is 43, wants to retire at 67. So she's a year younger than, or a year older than Jake. They have two kids, both aged 9 and 13. They're both boys that want to go to college. Okay, Jake is employed. He's making $50,000 a year and has both retirement and health insurance. So he has a 401k and health insurance plan. All right, he gets a tax refund each year, approximately $5,500 to $6,400 a year. They have a mortgage. It's a $115,000 mortgage. Their principal interest payment is $777 a month. They're paying 3.8%. They have 17 years left. They have two car loans for about $300 a month. They have a couple of credit cards totaling about $13,000 a month, and they're spending about $500 a month on those credit cards. Okay, so they're not a terrible situation, but they have some problems here. Okay, they have some assets. They each have an IUL. Alex, you missed two names. Jake is paying $450 a month, and Karen's paying $445. One was with North American, one was with Minnesota Life, I believe. They have a savings account earning $7,000. Has $7,000 earning 1%. Jake has a 401k. He's putting in $3,040 a year with no match. And their major concerns they want to talk about were, one, they want to get out of debt. They want to save more for retirement, and they want more insurance. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys a question. And if you open up your chat box, I want everybody to type an answer in here. Okay, so looking at their entire situation, what's the first thing you notice besides what I told you, what they want to do? What is the glaring concern you see? What is the biggest problem you see on your end? All right. Thank you, Sarah, Corey, and Ben. So a couple of the answers we have debt. That's an obvious issue. Tax refund. And Randy, you have the correct answer. I mean, all these are great answers, okay? But as far as looking at the biggest problem, okay, I look at it as the 401k is the biggest issue. Okay, why? Why is the 401k a big issue? One, it's all taxable at the end, and two, there's no match of that money. So this is a huge burden they're creating for themselves. It's going to be really hurtful long term. You know, the debt is probably secondary in this because it's costing them a lot of money and they're not being able to save money. But the 401k is helping them save money, but it's going to create a huge problem later on. Okay, so there's a couple of different things we want to talk about here with them to kind of help them see where the major issues are, right? So, you know, by helping them save, so we can, but their major concerns are get out of debt, which we want to help them do because that's what they want. Okay, I try to work on the philosophy, you know, of people do what they want and not what they need. Okay, because we've heard the story, and I've said this a billion times throughout classes. Is, you know, I've been told I need to lose weight, right? I've been told I need to, hey, Jeremy, you're gonna be a diabetic. If you don't lose 100 pounds, you're gonna die. Okay, I've been told this for my entire life. Basically, I've always been a big guy. Okay, but until I want to lose weight, am I gonna lose it? And the answer is no. You know, because I can be told 1,000 times, hey, you need to do this, this, and this. And when you're told something, you have, you know, two reactions to it. One, you're going to reject it because what word am I thinking of here?
Confrontational.
Thank you, Alex. See, when you work with somebody so long, they can finish your sentences. It's wonderful. I can't even say the word today. Confrontational. Right? So people try to avoid conflict. So they just immediately reject it. It doesn't matter to me. Now, if by chance they, instead of telling me what I need to do, start asking me what I should do and help make up my own idea, then I'm going to take action how I want to do it. So rather than saying, hey, Jeremy, you know, you should lose 20 pounds, you know, is Jeremy, you know, how would you feel if you lost 20 or 30 pounds? If you lost that weight, how much better would you feel? Would your clothes fit better? You know, would you have all the back pain? Would you be, you know, potentially going to be diabetic? Could you erase that portion of your life? You know, would you be able to spend more time with your grandkids and physically active? How much better would you feel if you could do that? Okay, now you got me. Now I'm wanting to lose that weight. I'm wanting to take action because you're rather than telling me, you're helping me see it in my own mind. So now I want to take action. So all that goes in, all those things come into effect with these kind of cases. We want to help them do the same process. You know, we can tell them, hey, you need to stop putting money in your 401k. You need to, you know, pay extra on your credit cards. And we can tell them all that. But if we tell them, they're going to reject it. So we have to help them see the problem. Okay. So during the fact find presentation, you know, and the agent I know went through all this because he got a lot of information. Because typically we see when we do a fact find is we get the basics. You know, we get the balance, we get the payment, we get the interest rate, and that's pretty much the end of it. You know, this agent went and made sure he covered all those different intricate points of this. You know, they have a Visa card, the minimum payment's $35, they're paying $200, has a 19% interest, and he asked, how do you feel about that debt? How much is it really costing you? And went through those numbers with them, because when people understand how big a problem debt is, how much money it is costing them towards their future, they want to take action, right? So we have a couple different things here. Okay, so we're going to start with the problem first. That's the most important thing. So there are two ways that I look at handle debt. Okay. And I'm going to ask you guys, what's the first way you think you'd handle this debt? How would you attack it? And you guys, if you guys want to unmute yourself and just blurt in, feel free. Yell at me. I love to have interaction. I feel like I'm talking to myself right now.
Equity if possible.
Yeah, that's a great strategy, right? Because if they only owe 115,000, their P&I payment's only 777, and they've already had it for 13 years. They've accumulated a lot of equity. So that screams to me, hey, if we take the equity out, or just refinance or pull a HELOC, could we help them pay off that debt without having to go through some of the more long-term strategies, right? So if we look at the debt in that position, okay, how much debt do they have total? Well, they have 8,000 for one car, 5,500 for another one. Alex, add this up for me. 8,000, 5,500, 1,600, 11,100, and 500. You're looking at 25,000, 30,000 in debt. That's costing them a ton of money.
Just shy of 27,000.
Okay, 27,000. Okay. So if they pulled out an equity line for 27,000, right? Just an equity line. Okay. How much does that equity line cost them on a monthly basis? All right. And everybody's probably saying, I have no idea. And neither do I. So let's go to the handy dandy software. All right. Because these softwares we give you guys, they cover everything. All right. So we get into the software here. We go to the mortgage calc, and we have this great HELOC calculator here. We're gonna keep it very simple. Say we're just gonna do a straight second mortgage. Okay. So if they went and got a 30-year mortgage for, what do we say, 27,000, Alex?
Yeah. And
it costs them 10%, because you can always pay a little higher on a second mortgage. It's going to cost them $236 a month. Okay. If we end up going with a HELOC with a 10-year draw window and 20-year repayment, so 30-year total loan period, 27,000, it'll be a little less interest rate, but it'll be about $200 a month. Or you're going to say it's over 20-year, 10-year repayment. So $225 a month. So very close in structure. So if their total debt is, too many windows open. If their total debt is costing them what?
125 plus 145 plus 200 plus 252 plus 50.
Yep.
800.
So it's costing them $800 a month. Can't put it in there. Okay. So if they're spending $800 and our new loan's going to cost them, say, $240, they're netting $560 a month, right? Could that $560 a month, how much benefit will that give to them over long term? A lot, right? So now when we paid their debt, we've also freed up money to put away for their future in one fell swoop, right? So if we go that route, there's a cost to equity loan, right? So if we do a straight secondary, we're going to pay closing costs. Now we're looking at 30,000, not 330. So we're at 260. So now we're at 540 a month extra. But still, no matter how we structure it, we're going to be able to put away, a couple $100 a month away, because we're not going to go for the whole amount. Why? Why are we not going to go for the whole amount?
They need a cushion.
Need a cushion, right? They got into credit card debt. They got into credit card debt because they didn't have the cash on hand. So we want to probably split the difference there, so they still have money to put away for their future. They also have a cushion or emergency money they can use to avoid the debt in the future. Okay. So now that we paid off all the debts and they're saving, well, let's call it $300 a month they're saving, they're in a good spot, especially in their 40s. Not nearly enough, but it's a good start. So what else can we pull from looking at their situation? Where else can we pull money from to put away for their future?
Someone had a great point in the chat.
Mhm.
Is they have $7,000 in savings.
Mhm.
So if you use that, if you want to go back to the other slide, Jeremy. So if you just take off the bottom two debts there, that does free up $250 right there. So if we
Oh,
just took
absolutely.
$2,100 from the savings account, still leaves them a $5,000 emergency fund, which is 10% of their income, which is fine.
Mhm.
And then you're freed up $250 to either do a snowball faster or whatever you want to do from there.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, some people are, like we've talked about this numerous times, are equity adverse. They don't want to touch their equity. So what would be the next best thing to help them pay off their debt? That's the debt snowball. So yeah, so now with what Alex has said, if they took off, paid part of it off out of their savings and left themselves $5,000 there, that gives us another $250 a month to apply to the debt snowball to help them get paid out faster. Alex, you want to go ahead and pull it up on your software?
Yeah, 1 second. It's on the same screen that the meeting's on, so I can't get to my desktop.
Yeah, we don't have these classes. We have a PowerPoint, guys. We don't plan these out. We come up with a case, and we want to go through it as fresh minded, like as we would when we're first seeing it. So we're not going to be having our pre-done case from start to finish. We're going over it with you guys from scratch.
All right, I lost the meeting. I don't know how to get back to it. I'm clicking Zoom and nothing's coming up.
I don't know.
Ah, there we go. It's minimize video. There we go.
Okay.
All right, so now I should be able to share my screen.
So let me end my share here so you can share yours.
All right. Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right. So let me go back. Oh, by you not sharing screens, I don't have the numbers anymore.
I will give them to you.
Okay. So let me clear out all this. All right. So what's the first card, Jeremy?
First card is it's a credit card, 1,600. Interest rate 19. Paying minimum payments 35. Paying 200. Mastercard 11,000. 096.97.
Oh.
Paying is costing them 9%. Paying $252 a month minimum.
That's for both, I'm assuming.
Yep. Amazon 500. 18%. 25.50. And then you have the two cars. 788, or call it 7890. 125 at 3%. SUV 5500. 3% also. 190, 144.94. That's it.
All right. And I typically just leave these right here. You can actually put them on the monthly breakdown if you wanted to. Like I could say whatever card this was. I don't remember going off memory. Sorry. I'm better with numbers than words. But so because like they're not really gonna see this page all that much. This page is mostly for you. This is a page you'll actually like show them. So with this, you'll see like, let's see. Yeah, and this is without the jump start, obviously.
Yeah.
But you have the five different cards, and you can focus on the first one at the same time, and actually you pay off. We should.
Amazon first, yeah.
Yeah, we should have put this one first.
Mm-hmm. I just gave you an order I had them. Randy chimed in already on the chat and said, "Hey, you should pay off Amazon first." You're absolutely right, because typically when we're doing a debt pay down, I go after the smallest balance first, even though it frees up the most minuscule payment. Typically, it's the fact that you're showing them the light that they can accomplish it. So if we can pay that off in a month or two, it shows that they can do it, and then we roll the money the next.
Okay, I put them in the correct order.
All right, thank you.
My colors are now off, but
It's all right.
all right. So yeah, so the order I'm doing here is, I mean, these are basically the same interest rates. But this one's balance is a little bit better, so I'm just paying off that first. It'll be faster with a snowball anyway.
Mhm.
And there is, like I said, they're 1% interest difference. It's not gonna really affect in the long run. It's gonna pay like $1 difference in the long run with
Yeah.
that low balance. But you'll see we pay off the first card in month 3, and then we roll all the funds we were into that second card, pay it off in month 10. Then we roll all that to the third card, pay it in month 30, and then and then we pay off these at the exact same time actually. And it's 38 month 38, so that's a little bit 3 years 2 months from today they'll be debt free without a penny more than they're spending right now.
Yep.
And that's not taking any money from their savings or anything like that. If we jump started that and we used, so let's say we took the $2,100 out of the savings, right? So we can get rid of that, but then we have an extra $250, so we need to add that to the snowball, and then we can take off these cards. I actually don't know what happens if I leave out cards 1 and 2. I'm actually interested. I've never tried it before. Nothing happens. Okay, that's good. So now instead of 38 months, actually only cut it down by 3 months. It's actually a little surprising. I thought it'd be a little bit faster than that. But these are the highest, there's still a lot of balances, so it's not too surprising.
Yeah.
But it does save them, which is nice. And everything else. And that's basically what it is. And you just show them like, hey, this is a plan for you to follow that'll get you guaranteed out of debt as long as you don't charge any more to your cards. I mean, the cars, they don't really have that option too. So like these are actually like car payments, right? So they don't have that option.
Yeah.
But as far as charging these cards or any other cards they may have, as long as they stick to this plan, they'll be out of debt in this time.
That's without changing anything else. That's without looking at any freed up money, anything else. The more we can free up, the better off they're going to be. So like, for example, if you take that $3,000 they're putting in their 401k, so that's what, $250 a month extra. So now they're paying $500 a month on that snowball. How fast does that pay it off?
26 months.
Another 9 month savings.
Yep.
You know, so you have all these tools, you know, so it's looking at the best option for the client. Now, so if someone's risk adverse, this is a great way to do it because this works. I mean, this is not a new strategy, nothing we've created or you know, studied or anything else. It's something I've used for 20 some years doing this with clients.
Yeah, this is just a tried and true technique that's been used ever since credit cards existed in reality.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, this is what Dave Ramsey teaches. This is what basically how do I phrase this professionally? Any educated like debt person. So anyone that's like knows what like a thing or two about debt, this is the approach they use. It's this, or you also hear the debt avalanche. It's basically the same thing.
Same thing, it's more money.
Yeah. But yeah, this is the strategy everyone uses because it is the most effective way of paying off your debts. It's because what most people do is just put a little bit to each card, and it takes 10 years because as the minimums go down, they go with the new minimums. So let's talk about that for a second because that's something we don't talk about enough, Jeremy.
Yep.
Like card 3. So like the minimum payment right now is $252. Well, as they pay that balance down, that minimum payment is going to shrink and shrink and shrink until it gets to the minimum, which I think for most cards is 25. So what I do throughout that whole process is, oh, that minimum payment's $252. Let's pay $275 this month. Oh, it's only $225 this month. Let's pay $250 this month. So instead of following this $252 the whole way, they're shrinking their payment. So instead of taking the in this case 26 months, it's going to take them 10 years. So they're not really making any ground because they're paying so much interest and not as paying as much principal over that same time.
Yeah, they're shrinking the principal payment every time or they're just paying the interest every time instead of paying the principal and interest. Right. So let's jump back over to my screen here.
All right, so I think I need to stop sharing for that.
Yep, thank you. All right, so now that looking at that aspect, so we found a way to pay off their debts. You know, we found two ways to pay off the debts. We can use a debt snowball or equity, right? So which way do you want to go? And in this case, we don't know because we weren't the person that did the fact find. So I'm going to assume that, they'll be willing to use equity. Okay. Especially right now where anytime you can help people use free money or use other people's money to help them get ahead, it's a wise business move in most cases. So how do we put this in the presentation? How do we create this piece to move forward with? All right. So let me just grab a case here. All right, so this is a basic template here. All right, so we're going to go down to the logic pages, and let's put this information in play. All right, so with a template, this whole thing is Microsoft Word. Okay, so it's really easy to use compared to some of the stuff we've done in the past. I had a version that was fully in Excel to do the same presentation, and it took 45 minutes to make one case versus 10 minutes on the Word template. Okay, so the first one we want to talk about in this case is we want to help them see their current situation, right? So let's put it in action here. So they have a current mortgage, right? They have 3 different credit cards, right? To add a row to this stuff, guys, you can either highlight the row and go to insert row, or if you click on the outside the box here and hit enter, it adds rows for you. So the 3 credit cards, they have the 2 car payments, or the car and the SUV, right? And they already have insurance, but so I don't want to. You can either include the insurance they have or exclude it. Okay. Typically, what we're doing, this is more focused on the debt portion. I'm going to exclude their current insurance because they already know what they have and they know they want to have more. So I'm not going to add in this case. Okay. So that's all I need on this one up top here. All right. So their housing payment was $777. They had about 115,087, I believe. All right. They had 1 credit card that was they were paying $50 a month, and it was a $500 balance. They had another credit card that was paying $252, and the balance was $11,097. And they had another one they were paying $200 a month for, and it was $1,600. Our payment. It was $125 a month. That was 7,889.88. 144.94 for 5,500. So when you're making these, so this is where they are right now, right? So what I do next is I add these numbers all up. So you have a basic calculator on your computer, right? Any calculator will work for this. And you just add the columns up. So 777 plus 50 plus 252, 200, 125, 144.94. They're paying $1,548.94 a month. Alex, I'm gonna let you add up all those debts for me, the total there. Okay. So when I build these, I want to make sure I highlight what the problem is. One, the problem is they're spending $1,548 a month, all on debt. They have very little savings. So they have their two IULs, which are spending about $900 a month on, almost $1,000 a month. And then they have his 401k, which they're spending $3,043 a year on. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and add the 401k on here because that's what we're going to discuss with them. That's a problem. All right. So we had 3042 divided by 12, yeah, is 253.50. Now, with a 401k, typically you're paying it per pay period. So if you paid twice a month, or every 2 weeks, you're basically getting 26 paychecks a year versus getting paid weekly, which is 52 checks, and so on and so forth. Okay. So when you're doing this, I always take the total balance and just divide it by 12 to get an average. Okay, so the average month you're going to spend $253.50 versus in a 2 week month you're spending, $240 or $230 something, and the other, 5 week months you're spending, $300 something. Does that make sense? All right. And he has $40,000 in his 401k.
Where does the 6% come from?
Okay, so, good question. Thank you, Sarah. So the 6%, when I look at an investment, okay, when they have money in a 401k, any kind of brokerage account, I tend to look at matching what the S&P does, because we don't, people think they are earning 10, 12% in their 401ks. So I combat that two different ways. One, I ask ahead of time, how much, what do you think you're earning in your 401k or IRA when I'm having that conversation piece? Because I want to know I want to see what they think they're earning. In this case, the agent did not ask that question, so I have no reference of what they think they're earning. Because these people see their balances growing consistently, and they don't realize they're making additional payments to it, which is making it grow more than anything. Their basic, just the basic contribution plus their match. And it's growing huge. It's awesome. Yeah, you're growing 30% a year. No, you're not anywhere close to that. So I will tend to show them what the S&P has done, or what I think can be done consistently. So I may show them 8% here. I can show them whatever I want, because I'm gonna do two things here. One, I'm gonna knock it down with fees, and two, I want to have a conversation about to show them that this is not real world. Okay, so looking at it and saying, if you have a 401k, an IRA, a brokerage account, what's the average fee percentage you're spending on those? And so in one of the templates I have, I have a disclosure I use. Tony Filippone wrote it back about 10 or 12 years ago now. But it basically says, according to Morningstar, the average brokerage account charges a 1.49% expense fee and 1.67 of expense fees. Okay, because typically when you have a 401k IRA, the majority of your money is invested in mutual funds. Mutual funds have a very high turnover, very high cost ratios compared to stocks or other investments. Okay, so if they're making 8% and we're saying the 3% fee assumption, what are they really earning? 5%, right? So knowing what the S&P has done, because if you look at mutual funds in general, only a handful of mutual funds beat the S&P any given year, and typically don't do it back to back. So and you can do some research on your own. If you look at the most recent Dalbauer report, some kind of investor studies from Wharton Business School, there's all kinds of studies out there that shows you the average investor in mutual funds only earns like 2.32% after fees. That's what the average investor does in at-risk investments. So we're still being generous when we do our presentations and say, hey, if you're earning 7 after fees, you're earning 4. That's still almost double what the industry average is. Okay, so I
So-
try to be. Go ahead.
Are you having this conversation when you're showing them this current plan? When do you bring that up? Or do you, if they ask, or how?
I just put this note on here.
Oh,
That way they see it, and I'll cover it. So if they have market risk investments, according to Morningstar, and I go through it. So we're showing you a gross 7, but it's really a net 4. And I'll ask, does that make sense? Because typically when I've have that fee conversation, I've already gone over how indexing works.
oh, okay.
So if I go through that presentation piece in the home, so, showing them if you have $100,000 and it grows by 10%, goes down 10%, goes up 10%, and I show them that illustration, they're shaking their head saying, yeah, that's how the stock market works. And then I show them the fees, how it knocks it down. This becomes a no-brainer for them.
Mm.
I've already had that conversation. So this 7% is before fees, and they're like, okay, that makes sense. And yeah, it's assumed from there. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we have the mortgage, we have the credit cards, we have the car, the SUV, the 401k. We have the payment per month. Well, outside of the total debts up. What do we want to show them? What are we trying to get them to do? We're trying to get them to pay off their debts, right? So first thing we're going to do is.
I have that number if you're ready for it, Jimmy. I just
Yeah,
remember you to be ready for it.
Go ahead.
26,586.88.
Thank you.
Correct, comma.
That's the debt number, right?
Yes, that's just debt. That doesn't include the mortgage, obviously.
Yeah. Just the red numbers. Okay. So the path we're getting them to go down is saying, okay, so you have all your spending. We have to add that on there. $1,800 a month, and you only have 40,000 saved, and by the time you get out to retirement, that's how much income you'll generate, right? So we know these will pay off in the way they're going now. They'll have it paid off in what you said, 36 months, Alex, with all their debts.
If they follow the debt plan, yeah.
Yeah. So even the current plan is not bad, but they should have it paid off in 40 months, just on normal, if they stop spending, right? So we just want to put it in perspective for them that all these debts we paid off in 40 months, but the difference is, once people pay off debt, what do they do with the rest of the money?
Spend it.
Spend it. So they're still not going to put any away for their future. They're still not going to put any away for the kids' college. So in the end, there's nothing here. Nothing is being saved, right? So there's going to be zero income. There's nothing there. Nothing's going to happen, all right? So we know they have 17 years left in their mortgage. So it's paid off in 17 years. But is this generating any income for them? No. They'll be a little fat 0. So the only income they're generating is from this 401k, right? So let me make one change from 253.53 plus 150. 1801.47. All right. So we need to calculate this next step, right? That's the next thing we need to fill in the blank with. So if we go back to our software, the PFS software, or financial software you choose, if you go to sheet number 1, which is future value software, we know that he is 42, she is 43. So typically when I'm building cases, I'm going to build it on the older of the two. Whoever's going to retire first. So the 43-year-old is older than the 42-year-old. So she has how much time before she turns 67? And I'm pretty sure that's 24 years, right? So if she has 24 years before she retires, they have $40,000 in their 401k. They're putting in $253.53 a month at 4%. They're going to have $226,000 saved up in their account by the time 24 years hits, right? So 226,975. And I hate putting change on a presentation, so I always round numbers up. Okay. With payments and stuff, I kind of keep it the way it's supposed to be, but on the accumulated value, it's always going to be close to this, so I just round it. Okay. So if they have money in their 401k, right, and they need to pull out income, what can they pull out safely from their asset?
Say that again.
If you have a lump sum of money invested,
Uh-huh.
what can you pull up? How much interest or income can you pull off that money on a yearly basis? What percentage?
3.
Someone said 3%?
I did.
Oh, 3%? Okay. So there's a couple different rules you look at. The typical rule everybody knows, or most families know, is the 4% rule. You can pull 4% out any given year, and you have an 85% chance of not running out of money. Okay. The actual rule right now to have an 85% success chance, a 85% chance not running out of money, is 2.35%. Okay. But because I'm showing 7 after fees, it's net 4. I'm going to show them the same 4%. So what's 4% of 226? And I have this handy little software in here that I already have done for you. You type in 4%, it pulls off this number. So you're looking at $9,079 a year for income. All right. All making sense so far?
Making sense, yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go back and fill all my numbers in here. So we have a 15-year number we need to get. So 135,411. So overall, big picture, they're spending $1,800 a month. They still have $26,000 in debt. And by the time they retire in 24 years, they'll have $227,000 accumulated and be able to get $9,000 of income, which will all be taxable. Make sense?
Don't look too good, yeah.
Doesn't look too good, right? I mean, this is a typical situation.
Yeah.
This is a typical family, what they're doing. Okay. So if we make it better,
May I
okay.
ask a question?
Absolutely.
So the 226,976, is that based on the net of it growing at 4%?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So we can do better, right? We know we can put, if we have 15 years or more for our whole life, for our IULs, that we can put better numbers up, right? That are safe. Because right now, the problem with this is what? It's all at risk.
Yeah.
It's all at risk. So even though they'll have all the debts paid off, they'll be in a good position going into retirement, they're still going to have nothing accumulated, or it'll be less than what we're projecting. I mean, how much did the market just lose in the last 2 months? 30 to 35%. My stocks that I own that I bought in 08 are down 50%. That hurts. So people that are retiring right now that are having to not retire, they're having to postpone it for years because they just lost 30, 35, 40% of the market value. Can you live on 30 or 40% less income? Or do you have to take the same income and draw your assets down even faster? How do you feel about that? All right. So let's look at the next step. So we want to talk about so we're going to keep the mortgage, right? We're not getting rid of that. But we are putting a second mortgage in place just for simplicity. Right? So we established the first mortgage is going to stay the same. So there's a great thing called copy and paste. It's Control C and Control V on the keyboard. This is how you do cases much faster. All right, so with a second mortgage in place, we're going to get, we said $27,000 out, or $30,000 after fees. It's going to cost $265 a month. All right, and over the next 14 years, it'll be paid off in 30 years. All right, but it's not generating income for them, right? But the good thing is the credit cards, the car payments are both paid off. Okay, so we were spending $1,801 a month, right? And we want to get rid of that as fast as possible, or get rid of those debts. 30 minutes. Sorry, my son's coming. We have baseball practice and it's an hour and a half drive away. All right, so we're gonna put together an IUL program for him, just because that's what Alex has software for. Actually, first we're gonna keep the 401k, but the difference is because there's no match, what I'm gonna do is look for an opportunity to not put this in there. You know, I want to just take the contribution away and let the money still just grow this in there. Make sense?
Could you repeat
Alright.
that? I'm sorry.
So what we want to do is, because there's no match in the 401k, we're gonna help them eliminate that taking the match without taking the contribution and reallocating it. Because if they could get tax-free income, if you ask the question, what's more important to you getting to retirement, the amount of money you've accumulated or the amount of money you can spend? Okay, so if you have money accumulating in your 401k, it's all taxable. So even though you have a greater amount accumulated, what can you really spend from it? And there's a lot of variables that go into that long term, is because if in 20 years from now, do you think taxes are going to be higher or lower than they are right now? You know, so if they're going to be higher, if you keep putting money hand over fist in your 401k, are you doing yourself a disservice? Now, if you're getting a match, you know, if you're putting in 5%, you get a 5% match. Yeah, you have to take the free money is free money. But in this case, it was no match. He's putting in $3,000 and getting nothing back from it, but risk and taxes. Doesn't make sense. So if we say, okay, we'll stop the contribution and we'll let that money grow. We're gonna do an IUL, and I think if my math's correct here, so we have 777 plus 265 minus 1801.47. That leaves us $759 a month to put into an IUL program. But I don't want to take all that, right? So if we take 400 for the IUL and then put what, 359 back in their pockets, you know, it puts them in a great position. So we're not spending a penny more than they're spending right now. Everybody follow that? Now, as advisors, we said, okay, we're going to help you put $400 away for your future. We're going to put $359 back in your pocket. How many salespeople tell you, I'm going to give you money back? Zero. No one's going to tell them that. So we can do this 1,000 different ways. If you want to say, oh, I'm going to put $259 back and put $500 in the IUL, that's great. That works. It's a matter of just finding the right medium where you're comfortable with what they're comfortable with. Make sense? All right.
Didn't you tell us that they had 2 IULs already?
They already have 2 IULs. Yes, they have one that's $445 a month and $452 a month. Okay, so and then they wanted more insurance. Okay, so I can put this on one of them because where Jake is the breadwinner, he's making the income. I could probably put another $500 a month on him, or I can split it. So for me, depending with the divorce rate in this country above 50%, I'm always one to split the policies up in the 2 other people. But you can do it either way, however you're more comfortable. It's up to your discretion of how you want to do it. So if we put an IUL on each of them for $250, one is an easier sale. Same amount of money, same $500 a month. But if I'm putting it on $250 on her, $250 on him, do they feel better than spending $500 on life insurance?
Yeah.
It's all perceived value, right? So that's where we are. So now we have the credit cards all paid off. We have the 401k. We're going to calculate the number for that. We're going to calculate the IUL numbers, and we have money back to them. It's not going to grow anymore. Still be all zeros, but now they feel comfortable because now they're spending money for their future. So they're getting their cake and eating it too. So now they're debt free, except for the mortgage. They have more life insurance, and they have more for retirement. So we've accomplished all three goals for them, right? All right. I'm gonna go run this 401k real quick here. And it's the same basic philosophy. So we have 24 years, 40,000, no additional payments, 4% interest. So we'll have $104,301. $301. All right. And in retirement, that's going to generate how much income? That same 4%. So that's 4,172. And we have 15 years, 72,812. All right. So far, so good, right? So now all we have to do is run illustrations. All right. And that's going to be the next step. So Alex, I'm going to let you share your screen, help you run those illustrations real quick. And I'll continue to work on the back end of this, getting it ready. So we're running over on time dramatically. So I'm going to stop my screen share so let you do your magic. So 42-year-old male, 43-year-old female, $250 a month each.
Hold on, 42 male, 43 female.
Yep.
Right.
And putting.
I'm just gonna use Georgia for the state. I mean, you can.
That's fine.
Because I don't remember what state this case was in. But
it was Indiana, but that's fine.
Okay, I can write Indiana. That's fine.
Doesn't matter.
Indiana, just products list. This is LSW software, same as National Life Group. So like you can use like the National Life version's right here, regular version's right here. I'm just gonna use the LSW version. It runs a little bit better. So all I'm doing is just putting in the client's information. I typically just do first names. I think it was Jake.
Jake and Karen, yes.
Yep. And typically I'd recommend putting in the birth dates because they do. This company uses age nearest, and most companies do. So that way you're always putting in the right one. But for this case, I'm just gonna put the 42. He was 42. All right. I run everything standard non-tobacco unless they have a health issue I'm already aware of and I need to like maybe run it a little bit worse. I generally don't like showing better because a lot of times it comes back the other way. I don't want to show them it costing more money. Always want to illustrate low and come back to hero than to illustrate perfectly and then come back. It's actually going to be a little bit more. I think it's just better to do it that way in my opinion. But you can do it however you'd like, of course.
So you're saying you always do it standard?
I always run in my initial illustration standard unless they have health issues that I think they're going to be table rated.
Okay.
All right. So for everything we do, we always want the minimum death benefit, max amount of cash. So basically, that's what we're saying is we want to buy the maximum amount of death benefit, or sorry, the minimum amount of death benefit we can without it becoming a MEC, to just fully so the internal growth is the highest, to ensure the policy it never runs into any long-term funding issues or anything like that. It's going to generate the most income, be the most stable policy that we can give them, kind of thing. I run everything level. The reason being, if God forbid something happens to you, but if you're not there when they're ready to retire in 20 years, are they going to remember to change the policy from increasing back to level? And if you're not there, the answer is probably no. And when they go to take an income and that policy is still on increasing, it's going to crash. It's not going to be able, they're not going to be able to take the income they need and want. So that's why I just run everything level. If they want the insurance anyway, it's going to give them the most insurance they can get, and it's safe from the long term. And it's not going to grow that much slower. It's a little bit slower, but it's not anything significant. So that's why I run everything level. Premium mode is monthly, so I just put in the monthly premium and specify amount because I'm solving for the death benefit, so I have to specify the premium. It's $250 a month, and I'm going 1, 2, and I want to pay through age 66 because I want to start income at age 67. So for their software, you can actually put just A and this instead of the year. So that's year 1 to age 66. All right, we do want to do distribution, so we're going to solve for income. I'm going to do age 67 to M. It's going to participating variable loans, which means it's just the variable loan rate strategy. You guys are all familiar with that. And then we go on to the riders. Riders, the only rider I typically use is waiver of premium. If they're really young, like in the 20s young, or like really early 30s, then I may consider doing guaranteed insurability. These guys aren't eligible for it anyway. I always do specify amount, and I do it whatever the premium is, so $250. Basically saying, if they become fully disabled, this policy will give them $250 a month. It'll waive $250 a month worth of premium and put that in for them. So it's a true waiver of premium here.
The software told you what the premium would be?
I told it.
Oh,
So so when Jeremy was doing the our end of it, we decided it was $250 a month per policy.
okay.
So that's
Okay.
what I'm using.
I got you.
Yep, and we're solving for the death benefit. All right. Then interest rates are all the same, just 100%, and I do everything. Oops. Yeah, the cap focus. You can blend this however you'd like. I typically like staying with the S&P just because it's the most straightforward. I don't follow all the foreign funds. I don't know much about it, so it's just what I'm most comfortable with. Then you just go to quick view, and you'll see this is the policy. So it's going to give him 186,000 of death benefit, 285, and he'll be able to take $9,000 a year in income all the way to age 120.
All right, that's what are the cash values on that in year 14 and 27?
In year 14, 37,310.
Okay.
Year 27?
Yep.
20 should be 26. Is 104,434. Oh no, sorry, 110,361. I looked at the wrong row. That's age 67.
Perfect.
All right. And normally I would click run reports, and you could get a PDF of the illustration you just ran. We don't need that for this purpose, for the purpose of this class. So then now I'll do Karen. Most of the information.
Alex, don't worry about doing that. It's the same philosophy, guys. I'm just going to copy and paste so we can kind of wrap this up.
Okay.
All right. Sorry.
So all you do basically, guys, is just do that, change the name. Everything else is going to stay the same because you're starting at age 67, and just run it.
Yep. Easy.
You see how her death benefit's a little higher. She's a female, better insurance rates.
Yes. Lives longer. Little bit less income. There's a trade-off there, but it's pretty close to being the same. You always want to run it the same. Just for sake of time, we're going to go back and just get back to the other thing here.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Alex. All right. So I went ahead and entered all that information in for simplicity. So all you would do is have Jake IUL. You have Karen's IUL. And you've entered all information. Now it's a matter of just adding everything up from there. So you already have all the same matching information up here. Sorry, that's why I'm all confused. You want to copy the columns, headings down, and so forth. Make sure you have your monthly premium. So if you're doing monthly, have monthly. If you're doing annual, do annual. Okay, so then you just add everything up. So you can do it two ways. You can add each column up by hand on a calculator, or you can copy it over to Excel, whatever is easier for you to do. So 72,812 plus 37,310 plus 37,310 is 147,432. We have the other number, which is 104,301 plus 110,361 plus 110. It's 325,023. Okay. And there you have it, guys. You know, you're going to have the same, you're going to have a little bit more debt now because you're going to have 30,000 versus 27. But the difference is we're able to pay it off over a 30-year or 20-year period, right? So they spend the same 180147, have a little more debt, but the difference is by the time they retire in 24 years, they're going to have 325,000 versus 226,000, and they'll have 22,000 of income that's where 18,000 of it's tax free. So now you have a direct comparison of what we can do better just by taking what they're already doing and just making a few small changes. So now we've eliminated the 401k, the contributions. We've saved them on a ticking time tax bomb later on. We've helped them eliminate all their debts, and we gave them more insurance they need and that they wanted. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
All right. And the same thing up here. So when you're doing the emotional points on the 2-page, I got to do this for simplicity. I went ahead and added it because we're running really behind. I took what they said. They wanted to get out of debt. They wanted to save more for retirement. They wanted more insurance. Now, when you're creating these, you want to put this in as much of their own words as possible. So when they do the fact find, when you're going through and talking about the problems, that you're going to be able to write those feeling points down. So they said, Jeremy, I want to hide all my assets from the government. It's going on the thing. If they're tired of paying Uncle Sam tax dollars every year and they're really adamant about it, put it in the presentation. I've had clients that said, I refuse to pay any more taxes. And I put that in all caps under the primary death. I refuse to pay any more taxes because that was what was important. That was their goal. That was what they wanted to accomplish. And I want them I want to give them the same emotional state they were in during the first meeting. Okay. And then I'm going to go through the plan, verbatim, so I want to pay off my debts. I want to save more retirement. Basically what you're telling me is you want to create a solid foundation for your financial future overall. That's an ad lib thing because, sometimes you want to tell a story with your presentation or explain something in more detail. I use secondary objective for that reason as my ad lib spaces where I can, add something that I see that I need to fix that I want to talk about. Like I had a case earlier. I used this as a seed planning section. The gentleman had a large $2.5 million farm. So he wanted to wasn't sure how he wanted to pass it on, if he wanted to pass it on or sell it. So my seed that was planted there was, we need to create a plan that's going to create a business succession plan so we know what's going to happen when you die or when you pass. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
All right. And the assumptions are just the facts. Their ages, how much they have in savings, what they're putting in their 401k, how much life insurance they have. And, this is a spot where you can tell people they've done a good job on something. You have life insurance. They have both IULs, which is growing nicely. We're not going to touch it. It's in great shape. My hands are up. I'm not touching that. You did a great job on that. But what we are going to work on is your 401k. You're putting money in this 401k. It's there's no match on it. So there's no free money and it's 100% at risk. Does that make sense? And try to help them reposition things. And then I go to recommendations. In the different templates, there's some called needs overview, some are called recommendations. They both work seamlessly. It's however you want to position it. I use recommendations. That's what I'm recommending they do next. So I want you to reposition your assets to maximize every dollar you're spending. So we're going to reposition the dollars you have and what you're spending to help you pay off your debts as fast as possible, but also create more savings for retirement and increase your insurance. And then I go into the logic behind it. Does that make sense? All right. Any questions? I know I saw some chat questions. Any questions, Alex? All right.
Audrey asked about why we're using 4% when it's actually 2 to 2.5 right now.
Audrey, you're too smart sometimes. Yeah, I mean, it's really depending on the clientele that we're working with. For most people, the 4% rule is very common. And, a lot of people know what it is, so we're just using that to our advantage. Yeah, it's going to be less, but I don't want to be. If I beat it up too bad, if I go in and say, well, you have. This is only going to average, you're going to earn, 5 and only to spend 2 or earn 2. That's going to be a battle. Okay. And then trying to say, well, if I'm earning 4, I can only take 2.5% out as income. It's another battle. It's commonplace to say, well, if you're earning 4, I can take out 4. And I use the 4% rule to this day, saying, hey, you only have an 85% chance of not running out of money. Is an 85% chance a chance you're willing to take? The market goes up and downs. If you hit that in that 15% mark that you could possibly run out of money, how are you going to feel about that? So rather than battle it, use it to your advantage and help them see that, yeah, this is doable, but there's a chance I could run out. And what's going to happen then? So if we can show you how to guarantee your money so you have a 100% chance of not running out of money, how much better off would you be? Does that make sense?
Do you ever get questions about the IULs, how they work, anything like that, while you're showing them the 2-page presentation?
Typically not, because when you go into the fact find, is a little presentation we use called Everything I Know About Life Insurance. That we use when we talk about the insurance section of the fact find, that goes through and talks about the different types in general and helps them equate it to something they know. People know how housing works, right? You can buy, rent, lease. It's the same thing with insurance. If you're using term, you're just running your insurance. If you have a permanent insurance plan, an IUL whole life, you have what they call basically a home. You're buying a home. You're buying a vehicle that appreciates in value. So people are accustomed to be able to leverage that knowledge to what they already know what they do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So then when you get into the presentation, they know that, because typically when you go to that presentation, the comment you have is, why would anybody buy term insurance? So they know at that point they want the cash value, they want the permanent, but it's all depending on the cost at that point. Now, if you show them how they can afford it and have them not spending a penny more than they're spending right now, it's a no-brainer for them. They don't care how it works from there.
I got you.
Because you sold them the concept, the philosophy of it, the inner workings. People don't really care about inner workings unless you completely are going too deep or being too forthcoming information. Then you can talk yourself into a hole, trying to get through that information.
But don't you have to have them sign an illustration page?
Hey, Paul. Yes. So when you do when you run the illustration, there's 2 ways you do it. One, typically with most carriers, if the premiums are not over 10,000 a year, you can sign an illustration certificate form. Mm-hmm. That's what I typically do, because I want to be able to deliver the illustration at the delivery of the policy. Okay. So, or if I have the illustration, I just show them. I'll pull up the page that shows the midpoint and guarantee and non-guaranteed section. I think it's the signature page, and I'll show them the actual ledger page that says here is your cash value at year 24. Here's what I got from the illustration. Numbers match, death benefit, sign here. Mm-hmm. Keep it simple. The more you go into the policy, the product, the more confused they're going to get. When you get them confused, you lost them. They're done. Make sense?
Very good lesson. Very good lesson.
Thank you. As you can tell, I know I do these every day. I do a lot of case design. So does Alex. I mean, we're doing, it feels like 40 cases a week right now. I know it's not that many, but it feels like that. But yeah, any case you guys have that you're stumped on, anytime, just call us. We love puzzles. Every case is a puzzle. It's just finding the right piece and putting in the right perspective. And that's all case design is. Knowing the basic rules, Knowing the philosophy of, people buy based on emotion and justification based on logic, and then knowing your common foundation practices of what products and what solution you're trying to help them accomplish, or what you're trying to help them accomplish long term. Does that make sense?
Makes good sense.
Yeah.
All right.
If we don't have any more questions, there's one point I do want to make, Jeremy, and that's for most agents going into this case, the first thing they see is, oh, these guys are already paying $900 worth of insurance. There's nothing I can do here.
Yeah.
Don't ever go in with a preconceived notion saying, oh, they already have insurance. That's a good thing. They already agree with the concept. Like they agree that they needed it and everything else. Do a regular full fact for them, just like everything else, and you'll uncover stuff.
Yeah. And as we do these case design classes, we're going to get into more detailed concepts. This is just the base level, most common type case there is for families. They already have some insurance, either it's term, they may have some permanent, they're putting money into a 401k, and we're just helping them reposition money. As they get closer to retirement, because these guys had 24, 25 years for retirement. As they get closer, if we're doing annual reviews with them or biannual reviews, we're gonna help keep stacking things on here, but also create those additional plans to turn things into income. So we're showing just the top 10,000 foot view of where they are right now, what we can do differently. But as we get closer to retirement, we're gonna really narrow this plan down to show them how to spend every dollar appropriately, how to pay off their home faster, everything else. This is just step one.
All right, and one more question, Jeremy. How much would an agent make doing this case if they did this plan the way we showed it?
The way we showed it, they're gonna make $4,000 to $5,000 in commissions.
Wow.
And that's not including if you get paid for the referral to the mortgage broker or anything.
Yeah. So there's, typically an agent in this case would have maybe gone after this, but they wouldn't know how to beat this typically. So they would have either, I need to buy more insurance. They would have sold them some term, made a couple $100. That's about it. By doing the extra steps, by going through the fact find, uncovering the pain, and they're not spending a penny more than they're spending right now. We're just showing them how to do it differently. Just showing them how to take money from pocket A, move to pocket B to get what they want. We hit all three wants, all three needs, and showed them how to get back on a path to a great retirement. Because if they're already putting away $400 a month into an IUL that's 2 years old, that's double this premium basically. So they're going to have 18, 19,000 per other IUL they already have, plus this. So now they're going to be at $60,000 before Social Security. That's almost all tax free and self-completing. It's a no-brainer.
All right. Anything else, guys? Any other questions before we?
Yeah, I know this class ran long and I'm running really late. So if you have any questions, shoot me an email, call Alex. I'll be on my cell phone. I got an hour drive. So if you want to call me now, I have an hour to talk to you in the car. And we're here to help you. So if we can be of service anyway, let us know. This class is being recorded, so it'll be up on the site tomorrow morning. If you come up with some questions tonight after watching it again or thinking about it sitting in your armchair, shoot me an email, shoot me a text message, and we'll get to the bottom of it. All right?
With that, thank you very much, guys. It was a pleasure as always. We'll see you for the next class.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Have a great day.
Alex.